Hey, what's going on, everybody? I know there's no intro music today, no introduction by a special guest, and there won't be any outro for today's episode. I'm going to go right into this as it's going to be probably a heavy episode. So I know I have to give one of those like trigger warnings, which I kind of don't understand, but I get it now that when you talk about a specific topic that may trigger somebody in a way that brings up some bad memories. I feel like the word trigger always like used when like the politics, like, oh, they're triggered, and all those memes. So I think that's where I got it confused with. But I do know now what like the um, trigger PSA per se. Oh, that was a good one. So this episode is going to be touched on suicide more than what I did the previous two episodes. It's going to be focused on death and suicide. So if those are some triggers for you, I would say stop this episode now. I feel like I'll probably I'm taking my socks off. That's how comfortable I'm trying to get. That's how like anxious I am right now. Um, so if those things kind of bother you in a way, that I would say don't listen. Because if you know me, I'm pretty open for the most part and detail oriented. If you ever know, you ever go to like someone's house and you're like, yeah, I'll be right there. And then you're like, where can I park? Should I call you when I'm there? Okay, tell me everything. That's how detail oriented I am because I don't like not knowing shit. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into suicide, and I think it's kind of obvious now. I know a lot of people don't know this about me, which is totally fine because it's not something that you just bring up to people like, hey, by the way, I tried to kill myself. But yeah, so by the way, guys, I tried to kill myself not too long ago, but not too recent either for anyone to worry. So I did it for this week because I have an anniversary coming up of that, of when I tried to commit suicide. Kind of weird to say out loud to myself in the cat closet. Yeah, so May 5th, 2019. I didn't know the date at the time, but it was going to be the day that I ended my life. Which is like so fucking weird because I look back at that and I'm like, I don't even know who that dude was. I was like, shit. I was like, maybe he did die in a way. Or just haunts the shit out of me still. I don't know. Just going to talk to this one, see what happens. Yeah, so May 5th, 2019 was my day. So I think we'll back up a little bit because I'm very open about like how I was in 2019, late 2018. And I just became like super depressed just with my life, my job, my marriage, just like a lot of things that were just, I feel like I was doing nothing right. And I was just like my own worst critic. And I would just be upset with my life and be like, you know what? It isn't my fault. It's everyone else's fault. And I would put the blame on everything else. But even in my own mind, I know I was wrong, but I didn't give a fuck. Like I always tell people I felt like I was in the movie Get Out, but I was in someone's body, minus like the racism part. And like I remember everything for the most part, but I don't remember like controlling my body. I was just in there and I just went through the motions. So yeah, at first I think I was just mad about like how quote unquote shitty life was and just not getting everything I wanted out of it, even though I got everything I needed out of it. And I was just being very selfish and shitty just overall. So yeah, then as time went on, I just put blame on other people, mostly my wife, and just being just a real fucking shitty person. I always tell people if you saw me with my beard, that's when I was like at my worst. I just didn't give a fuck, like literally did not give a fuck. To the point where I was laying in my bed for days, calling out of work sick, not showering, just not caring, being on my phone for too long, and just like wasting the day, like waking up, looking at your phone, and then it's like midnight. You're like, shit, that was a bad day. And no one knows how fucking sad you are, especially someone like me that just always pretends to be happy. For the most part, like who doesn't like being happy? You know, live, laugh, love. And my favorite part of that's laugh. So why not laugh through it? And I just kept on like trying to do that, and it's tough for people to see that. So I would always put on a front for the longest time. And then it just got to the point where it was just like boiling over, and I'm just like every day I would wake up and I felt like it was the same day. And there's like days like that now, and I still got to battle it. And yeah, I would lay in bed and I would always say I was gonna kill myself. I told Lindsay she was gonna come home one day and find me hanging. And like, it's kind of fucked up to say to somebody, right? It's like, oh, okay, gonna go to work. My husband might hang himself, which is kind of fucked up. And I'm only joking about this shit because it's the only way I can get through it. Um, I've been trying to have this episode in my head for like months because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm just gonna help people in a way and just get it out, and then I can not talk about it again. So if you finish this episode, do not talk to me about it for the love of God. Just like send me a fucking photo of like a professional wrestler. Just give me a hug when you see me because I do not want to talk about this ever again. So yeah, I would just be super shitty like that, and I would always make those comments. Like at first, it would always like, oh, I just hope my fucking like car blows up on the ride home, or like just like wishing something bad would happen, and it never did. It never did. So I was getting to that point where I was like, you know what? You get frustrated with the level in Mario, and you can't do it. So you know what? I'm just gonna jump right into the hole and fucking shut the game off. That's pretty much how I look at it with my analogies. It always has to be either like wrestling related or video game related. So I finally like got like a little bit to like get not motivated, but to like get up and go do shit. And on March 9th, I got my jiu-jitsu blue belt, which will make sense in a bit. And I got my blue belt, and I was happy that day. Like there was like I wasn't just miserable every day. There was like bright spots in my life, but in my mind, I'm like, is it worth it? Like, is it worth to keep going? And I remember like getting my blue belt was like one of the biggest things I wanted to get because like I hated comparing myself to other people, but you do. You're like, okay, I started with this guy, and he got promoted before me, but it's like I'm not putting in as much work as him. And that's like kind of like how I was in general. I was just like, oh, being like the player hate his ball and be like, oh, that motherfucker's got that. Like, why can't I have that? And the same with like my job. There was a promotion and someone else got it that was below me and I didn't get it. And I was like, fuck that. Like, but I'm the one to blame. It's me. Like, you can't just blame other people. And I was doing that. And I wasn't even doing like intentionally. I was like doing it in my head. And I would just be like, everyone's wrong. And like, I was the most wrong in my head. I always say like the biggest lie I've ever told myself is I don't care what other people think. And I'm at that point now, which is great because I really don't give a fuck anymore. Hence this podcast and what I'm talking about today. So I got my blue belt and I was like, I was happy. And then the next day happened and I was like, what's next? Like, I'm going to keep going and try to like get my purple belt, and I like still kind of like falter and not go. But it was just, it's just one of those things that, I was like, fuck it. Like, this is another thing. So, still like getting in fights with Lindsay, pretty much almost ruining my marriage, and, just being fucking terrible. Just being awful. So I didn't know the date. I didn't know the date at the time, but I know Lindsay was out with friends. This is what I knew at the time. I knew she was out with friends, and I was home alone. And it's Cinco de Mayo, so I think she was out with her friends, like partying for that. So I was home alone, and what I remember is I sat down and watched that Adam Sandler special. It's on Netflix. It's actually pretty good. Adam Sandler gets some fucking shit, but he's a goat, dude. He's one of the best. And it was the one where like he sings that song about like Chris Farley and does like that really nice one. I love that. That song fucking rocks. Chris Farley's another goat. So I remember watching that, and that made me fucking cry so fucking much. I was like, damn. I was like, he lost his best friend, and just super sad. And you'd think that would have like an effect on me in like a different way, but it didn't. And then I remember going to the kitchen and like looking at the calendar, but again, I didn't know what the fucking date was. I think I just stood there, or maybe I did. Yeah, I think deep down I kind of wanted to know the date, and then I was still downstairs and I like saw my dog Charles, and I waved to him like I instead of like a hello wave, it was like a goodbye wave because I knew like. because I knew like what was gonna happen. So yeah. Anyway, so I go upstairs, and I remember just being like fucking disconnected. Just like I felt like I was like, what is it like? What am I trying to say? Like a shadow. Like I was like catching up to my shadow. Like I was walking, my body was, but I was like behind it. Right? And I remember just being like, fuck, this is it. Like this is just later. So, like I said, I had my blue belt from jujitsu. So those things are fucking stiff as shit. Like they're not broken in unless you like train for a bunch. And like so, like I kind of retired my white belt, and it was it's very like just it's like soft. It won't break, but it's a fucking like heavy cotton, or is it cotton? I don't know different types of materials, but the blue belt that I got was like fresh, like super fresh, and it was tough. It was tough as shit. So I just stood there in my spare bedroom, and I like wrapped it around my neck, and I just stood there. It felt like fucking hours. It was probably like fucking 10 minutes. I didn't even know. I didn't even know what date it was. I couldn't tell you what fucking time it was. Like I was in a fucking different realm. And I just stood there fucking crying and crying. And I was just like I wasn't like thinking anything. I was just standing there. And then, oh yeah, so I must have known what the fucking date was. That's where I probably looked at the calendar and I was like, all right, today's this date. And then I remember just sitting there thinking and thinking. And everyone always has those moments, I feel like, where like something happens and they get like out, they get like not, they have like that moment. Like one person was like gonna kill themselves, and their like fucking nephew called them and was like, hey, are you okay? Like out of the blue. And my fucking cat of all people like came up, and I love my cat Lucille. I never wanted to adopt her. I just wanted Leo, my Persian, and we became best friends, me and my cat. Like she lets me fucking hold her. Like she's always laying on me. She's always pissing on my clothes. And I found out that cats pee on your clothes to like make you more intertwined, which is super fucking creepy. But that's my girl. And so like she like walked through my legs and like woke me up. And I was like, fuck. It's like, what's going on? You hungry? And I fuck. I gotta look in the mirror. Damn, my face is red. This is gonna be the hottest thing I'm gonna have to say. I always make jokes about it now because it was May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and I was like, damn, almost turned into Cinco de Hango. And everyone kind of like cringes at that. I'm like, nah, it's cool. Like I said that to my therapist. It's funny like seeing people actually laugh about it, because like a lot of the guests I've had, I've told this story because I told them like, hey, like I'm gonna tell my story coming up. And that's why I'm not going to promote you the week of, because it's like, oh, here's Tim's suicide episode, and here's fucking so-and-so promoting a great product. Like, I don't want that attached to them at all. But Cinco de Mayo is my older brother's birthday. And I just thought, like, man, that'd be so fucking shitty of me. Fuck. It would be so fucking shitty if I killed myself on my brother's birthday. Like, let alone you can't even celebrate with margaritas on Cinco de Mayo with me killing myself. But it's like my brother had to fucking potentially celebrate his fucking birthday. Be like, oh, happy birthday. Did you know my brother fucking killed himself? And I've never fucking told him that. Fuck! Fuck. And I've never fucking told him that. And I still won't. And I know he listens to this like fucking every week. And I fuck. And I can't tell him. I'll never talk to him about it. He listens to this episode every week. I mean, he listens to this show every week, and I still won't have a conversation with him about it. I can't do it. I don't care. I can't talk to people about this. And I'd rather just do it like this. And even though it's like I should, but I fucking can't. I just can't do it. Motherfucker, I can't even get through this episode, man. And it's like, there was so much more to it. Ah, man. And I just felt so fucking bad. And I finally, like, pulled myself out of it. And then, like, shit got fucking bad. Like work got involved. And, like, it just sucked. It just really sucked. Like, I definitely ruined a lot of, like, acquaintances and friendships through all that. And then after that, I went and got help, which was like the longest fucking road in the world. God damn. Fuck, that sucked. I remember just going to my primary, and I was a nurse practitioner. Why are nurse practitioners so much cooler than fucking doctors? And she was helping me, and she was like, all right, I'll make some calls for you. And I was there for an hour and a half while she called all these different places for me, and nothing was open. And she couldn't believe how she doesn't deal with like the mental health side. So she was like, this is crazy. I've never seen this in my life. And I was like, yeah, this is fun. So I could either check myself into the ER and admit myself. I always admitted. Or I could just try to hang out. Get it? And I did. I just toughed it out. I was like, I can't do that to my family. And I know people say it's like, oh, you kill yourself, it's selfish. And I know you're not supposed to say it, but like, I get it. It's like, it's not selfish when the person like wants to just stop all their pain for whatever reason. And it's like, you kind of have to be selfish. Like, it's your life. You got to live it the fucking way you want. Hopefully it's in a positive way. And that's why I said that number so distinctly about the suicide numbers is 47,511, and it could have been 47,512, which is kind of fucking crazy to think. But yeah, shout out to Nancy Scott, my nurse practitioner. She retired, gave her a big hug on one of the last days I met her. So she was really pivotal in helping me save my life. But man, again, I know I always say that fucking road sucks. Sucks. And if you're in it or you're going to get into it, fuck, man. Talk to people all the way through it. That's all you got to do. It's just like check in with people you like, love, anything. Just fucking be like, what up, bruh? And another thing was like, I remember right after that, I went out to like lunch or dinner with my mom, my sister, and my niece was there, Olivia, and she loves me. We have so much fun together. And I was like so depressed and disconnected. And then like she would interact with me and I would like smile and shit. So then I thought about that. I was like, oh fuck, like she would have to like grow up. And like I love all my nieces and nephews, but like her distinctively, like I put myself in like her shoes and just sucked. And I just fucking cried in my car on the ride home. Like I just cried fucking yesterday. I was on my way to my nephew's birthday party and I had like a fucking mini meltdown in like a CVS parking lot and like Riff Raff was playing in the background, like just sitting there. And I was just like, I still have my fucking moments and I don't care anymore. It's like, just gonna have those days and I don't feel suicidal anymore. And, these days I'm like, man, I just wish someone would fucking just shoot me in the head. But not really. I don't know, man. Fuck. It's tough to be positive. And when people say things to me about not being positive, but it's like I don't say positive things about me because I didn't care enough to be. Like I was like, you know, I'll just kill myself. It's way easier than being positive, but it's more rewarding. But, yeah, look at my fucking... I put on a timer just in case I went over, and it's going over 20 minutes, but fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. And then, what's funny, too, is I remember after, like, Avengers Endgame came out, because, like, that was, like, my whole life was, like, going to those movies, and then it finally ended. And then I was like, fuck. There ain't nothing else to live for. Like, that was one of, like, the minor things that I would joke about, because that came out in April. I mean, that finished in April, and I was like, hey, whatever. But now May 5th is kind of fucking crazy because the next year, May 5th, is the day we adopted Fanny, my blind dog. And, like, she's changed my life. Like, I'm so glad we found that dog. It's like, she's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it's like, if that didn't happen with me, if that happened with me killing myself, I would never have had Fanny. And it's crazy that it was on May 5th. Like, I didn't plan that. Me and Lindsay figured that out like 2 weeks later. Or, no, a year later. Because it did like that Facebook memory thing. Or like we went back to, I don't know. See, my dates are all fucked up. I just remember going back to like a photo or a post because I wanted to see a photo. And it was like when we posted the date, it was May 5th. So that was funny. And then today I was on Instagram and they're releasing a bunch of new, another phase of Marvel movies. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming out May 5th, 2029. Because those movies take forever to be released. But still, it's like May 5th is like a shit I love. I love margaritas. I love my brother. I love Marvel movies. I love my dog. Mother's Day is around May 5th. My wedding anniversary is around May 5th. So May 5th, man. Shout out May 5th. I almost ruined a good date, which would have sucked. But there's so much more shit I want to get into. There's so many more layers to this. Fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. I'm going to do this short, and I might revisit it down the road, but I personally don't tell this story out of respect of other people's wishes, per se, and I'll probably explain it down the road. I got like the boogers that hang out, man. I cried. Shit. Fuck. But anyway, after like that all was about to happen, a week or two after, was like my mom was like, hey, I want to like come over and talk to you. And she had no idea of like what just happened. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, what did I do now? And fucking long story longer, she was pretty much like, the father you grew up with may not be your father. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I took an ancestry test and turned out I'm 100% depressed. No. And I found out I had a whole different type of father. Like straight up, I have a different dad. And not many people know about it. Now people do. I don't want to say more facts about them or more information about it because I don't want to be the one. See, everyone's like, why don't you blow this shit up? And it's like this is I know I didn't ask for it and I don't care, but there's people on that side of the family that I don't want to hurt, even though, again, it's not my fault. I don't want to be the reason why those people might not like me. I don't want them to be like, oh, well, this motherfucker came over and he's like trying to ruin our lives. And I know people always say it's like, well, your life's getting ruined from this. And it is and it isn't. I've had a lot of ups and downs with my depression about it. I've talked to my therapist about it. Like, I've explained my reasoning behind it. But I'm sick of like holding it in, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want their lives to be quote unquote ruined or whatever. But he has a whole different family that don't know I exist. And it's kind of a bummer, but there's a lot more to it, which I don't want to get into right now. It's definitely a story for later. Hopefully it's a good story, a good ending. But it's shit like that. It's like, man, that would have never came out or learned about it if I ended up killing myself. And it's a super interesting story. And I think there's only like 9 people that know about it. And I've been opening up more to people about it. But I'm gonna end this episode now, and I appreciate you guys listening. You guys know how much I love you. Hopefully my booger isn't hanging out this whole episode. That would suck. My lips are so chapped too. Fuck. But thank you for listening with me. And again, I'm like straight up being serious. Please don't text me about this. I just send me like an emoji or a fucking anything. Like if you see me, just fucking give me a hug. That's it. I just can't do that shit. I love you guys so much. And Bill, I'm so fucking sorry. Man, this episode is probably heavily edited, but I love you guys so much. Give someone a hug, call up some people, see where they're at. Listen to the song Kesha, Here Comes the Change, because I listened to that probably for like a full year in my car, and I cried. I think it's about women's equality, but there's like a couple lines at the beginning that hit me in the feels. And then if it's still on Netflix, go watch that Adam Sandler thing I was talking about. I actually had to go back and rewatch it like last year. And I was like, man, this is good. I don't remember any of it besides the Chris Farley thing, but man, this shit was funny. So those are my 2 recommendations. But again, guys, I love you so much. And I was thinking about this too when I keep saying time's up. It's kind of fucked up for a mental health podcast where a guy hosts the show where he almost committed suicide. So we'll keep going with the Break the Stigma by cracking a smile and profusely crying through the whole episode. But love you guys. That's it. Talk to you soon.
This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. If you are feeling suicidal, please dial 911.